Congratulations, you've successfully logged into your Linux virtual machine. Here is what it looks like, and what we're going to do next is we are going to start the terminal application, which is located just here, the fourth icon along the bottom panel of icons. Okay, so let's start the terminal application. Let's just move it towards the center of the screen. Right, and what we are going to do now is we are going to try out some commands. But before we do that, let's just explain the terminal is, by definition, an input-output device to the computer system. Terminals used to be physical devices, and if you look up on Google VT100, you can see an example of what a terminal looks like, used to look like. So that would be VT100 is what you need to Google. Okay, so a terminal is an input-output device to the computer system. In this case, our terminal is software. The terminal itself wraps around something called the shell. The shell that we are running on this system is called bash, and we can see that by typing the command ps. And we can see here that bash is running on our system. So bash is the shell that we're using, and the shell is a command processor. It's a command line interpreter. It takes commands that we type in at the terminal and will pass them on the system, onto the system for processing. Shells also provide a scripting language. Not all shells do, but bash provides a scripting language, and we'll be using that scripting language later on to write applications. So for now, let's experiment with the terminal and try out a few different commands. First command we're going to try out is the echo command. Let's type echo, and we'll pass an argument, hello world, and hit return. And simply that will print out whatever argument we pass to echo to standard out. Standard out is similar, it's the same as system.out in Java. So we've printed something out to the screen. So this is very much our hello world equivalent for the terminal. And we printed out hello world to the terminal output. Let's take a look at the man page, the manual page now for the echo command. Whenever we need any help with a command, we can type man and the name of the command. This brings up a description of the command, displays a line of text. It also brings up some options that we can apply to the echo command, and the options allow us to change, to modify the behavior of the echo command. For example, -n will not display, will not output rather, the last new line character. --help will provide us with some help information, and -version will provide us the version number of the echo application. We can scroll through a manual page using the arrow keys and the space to go down a page. We can access manual help by pressing the H key, and we can quit the manual page by pressing Q. And pressing that will exit the help section, and to exit the manual page we press the Q key again. So let's try out one of the options. Now options are applied before the arguments, and here when we hit return we can see the difference visibly, that the new line character at the end of hello world is not printed out to the terminal. Now let's say that we'd like to redirect the output of the echo command to a file. How do we do this? Well, we can type in the following command. I'll hit return to get a new command prompt. And what I'm going to type in is echo hello world. The output redirection symbol is the greater than symbol. And we'll pass in here, we'll type in the name of a file, and we'll just say hello world.txt. Hit return. And as you can see, the output has not been displayed to the terminal window. In this case, it has been redirected to the file helloworld.txt. To look at the file helloworld.txt, we can use the command cat. And there it is, the contents of the hello world file. If I'd like to append something to the file, to the same file, what I can do is the following. And so I've used two greater than symbols for appending. And if I type in cat hello world.txt, we can see now that I've appended a line to the file. I can also use the option. In this case, I'm going to do -n. And that, what we can see there, has executed is, again, appending the line to the hello world.txt. However, if I run the cat command, and you can see that in this case, we've not printed out the end line here, the new line character. What I'm going to do is then try to append one more line to the file. So echo goodbye hello world.txt with the two greater than symbols between the argument and the file that we're redirecting to. Okay, let me just now run the cat command. Okay, and you can clearly see there, because we chose in the previous append not to add the new line character, when we've appended another line to the file, we can see that it's continued on the same line of text. Let's take a look at the man page for cat. So you can type in man cat for the cat man page, and here you can see that it concatenates files and prints them to standard out. In the description, we can see that it says concatenate files plural to standard output. So let's quit the manual page. And let's try to use the cat command. In this case, you can see that what I'm doing is I'm using tab completion to help me determine the file that I want to load into cat. And I'll explain tab completion a little bit later. So here is cat hello world.txt, and I can type in cat hello world.txt. Do the same thing again, and I'll print it out, concatenate it, and print it out to the screen. So there you can see the hello world.txt file twice. Let's talk briefly then about tab completion. What I can do is, let's say I want to change directory to the desktop directory. So the change directory command is cd. And what I can do is I can type in the first letter of the directory I want to move into, which is in this case D, because I want to move into the desktop directory. So I type in that and I hit the tab key. Now sometimes this will automatically complete the name of the directory, the name of the file, or the command for you. This is auto completion. However, in this case, it's not possible for auto-completion to take place. If you hit tab and auto-completion does not take place, then either there is nothing in the directory or there is no command that exists that begins with a capital letter D. In this case, that's not true. Or alternatively, there are several options. Let's hit the tab key twice. Okay, when you hit the tab key twice, what happens is that you're given options. And in this case, you can see desktop, documents, and downloads. Now, I'm going to go to the desktop directory. So I type in E, and I would be able then to hit tab, and it just auto completes for me. If on the other hand, I wanted to go to the documents directory, I could press O, hit tab, and you can see nothing happens. Hit tab again for a second time, and now I can see my options have been reduced to documents and downloads. If I hit C and then tab, there's only one option, and that is documents. So auto completion using the tab key can help you speed up your processing, your time in the terminal rather, and finding commands, help you to find commands, directories, and files that you want to access. It's particularly useful for long files as well, long file names rather. Okay, let's delete this. Let's now take a look at the present working directory, the directory that we are currently in. That is pwd, and you can see that I'm in the home directory for the student user, /home/student. A user on a Unix system typically will have a home directory, and that home directory is the name of the user ID, in this case, student. Now, to look at the directory listings for the home directory, I can type in ls-l. This gives me a long form, a long listing of the home directory. But I could also do just ls without the option, and I get a standard short form. Now let's take a look at the output for ls-l. You can see that I have several directories and 2 files in this folder. You can determine the difference between a directory and a file very easily, not just by the color scheme, but also by the first letter that you see on the left-hand side here, D representing directory, and if there's a hyphen, it's a file. Okay, so I have 2 files in my folder here, helloworld.txt and hello.txt. What do I do if I want to remove a file? Let's say I'm going to remove my hello.txt file. I type in rm hello.txt, and I can remove the file. Now when I run ls, you'll see the file is no longer there. The rm command is a very powerful tool. However, do remember there is no undo. Okay, so once I've deleted that helloworld.txt file, I cannot get it back. It is super important to keep backups of important files just in case you accidentally delete the wrong file or perhaps it's become corrupted. So do keep backups on a USB device. Right, so I've deleted the helloworld.txt file, the hello.txt file. What I want to do next is move the helloworld.txt file into the desktop folder. And to do that, I type move mv helloworld.txt, and I'm going to move that to the desktop folder and hit return. Okay, and as you can see now, the file has moved. And if I do ls-l, I want the long form, desktop. There you can see in the desktop directory is my helloworld.txt file. Also, if you look in the top left-hand corner of your screen, you should see now that your helloworld.txt file appears on the desktop. So anything that's in the desktop directory appears in your on your desktop on the screen. If I double click on that, you'll see that it loads in a text editor here called gedit. There are a number of text editors available on the system. An alternative text editor that you could use is gvim. So I'm going to type that in now, gvim, and hit return. There is a learning curve towards using Vim. So there's gvim, which provides a graphical interface to Vim. there is also vim, which runs in the terminal itself. What I'll do is I'll share a tutorial for those of you interested in learning how to use vim. Now, interestingly, if I close this, there's also another editor that is commonly used on Unix systems, and that's called emacs. Before we move on to emacs, what I'll do is I'll just show you vim running in the terminal. It's the same editor that we've just seen a moment ago. So I'm going to type in vim, and there it is. Here is vim running in the terminal itself. I can type in the I puts me into insert mode. I can type stuff in. Escape takes me into command mode, and if I want to save this file, what I can do is use the W command, :W. If I want to save and exit, I can use WQ. In this case, I want to save and exit, so I can do the following. Let's just make sure I'm in command mode. Okay, and I can hit return. If I do an ls-l, you can see there is a test.txt file now in the folder, which I'm just going to remove. So that's vim. Let's take a look. Emacs is not available on the system. So when I try to run the Emacs commands, it says you can install it on the system, and how to install Emacs is given here. Let's break this down. So let's begin first of all with the apt-get install. apt-get is a package manager that's available for certain Linux distributions, typically those that are based on Debian, such as Linux Mint. Now, apt-get is a package manager. It allows us to download and install and remove applications. It also handles any dependencies. So if we have an application that we would like to install and it requires other libraries, other applications to be installed, the package manager will take responsibility of installing those for us. So it saves us a lot of trouble compared to Windows systems, where you have to go off and download the right files and find them, download the installer, run the installer. The package manager will handle that for you. Install obviously allows us to install an application, and in this case we could say emacs, and hit return. Now, what we can see here is that we do not have the administrator rights in order to install emacs on our system. Now, a Unix system will have user accounts and it will have an administrator account, which is the root account. Some user accounts can have administrator privileges, and if they do, they can temporarily activate those using the sudo command. So we could type sudo apt-get install emacs. Ask for our password. And here we can see that the package manager not only fetches emacs for us, but also any dependencies of emacs, for example, libmagic. In this case, we're going to choose N. We're not going to go ahead and install it, but if you'd like to play with, mess around with Emacs, you could hit the Y key, and it would go ahead and install Emacs for you. And that's how you install any application on this system. And you can learn more about the apt-get command using man apt-get. And that will provide you with information about apt-get. Update, instead of install, you could use update or upgrade. Just install here is described here. So that is how you could install applications onto your system. Right, so we have briefly covered our first few commands in Linux. We've looked at the manual page command, which will be extremely useful. And in fact, one joke in Unix circles is this particular command. We can run the man command for the manual command and get a manual on the man command itself, which is legendary for being not the easiest manual page to read. So we've covered the man command, we've covered echo, we've covered the directory commands cd, mv, rm, ls. We've discussed options, output redirection, when we use the greater than symbols to redirect the output to a file. That's really important for when you want to redirect maybe compiler output to a file so that you can study it later on, or maybe you're logging data from sensors that you want to save to a file. You can do that using output redirection. Using the greater than symbol, we've covered the various editors available and how to install additional software on the system as well. And that covers a very brief introduction of the terminal. Before I end this video, one thing I'd like to show you is we can use the up and down command keys on the keyboard to scroll through our previous commands. So we can do like so. We can also clear the terminal, but that clears the terminal. Our history is still available to us. We can still scroll through. And one thing I'd like you to try out is to try the following. Obviously, we know that this command will output redirect hello to the hello.txt file. But what will happen if I do the following? Will it append hello to the file, or will it overwrite it? Another interesting thing that you could try out here is also the touch command. And I won't show you how to use that, but I'll show you here what it does, man touch. And that's something that you could also have a look at, and something that's commonly used with files as well. And you'll be able to, maybe ls-l will be useful to see how the touch command works. Great, so that's covered the directory system, the echo command, the manual pages, options, installing applications, and the editors available to you in this virtual machine.